Family never forgets and family never forgives. In fact, if family forgives, they will never forget. Today I'll be sharing boundaries in a marriage, especially with family. How far should your family go when it comes to your marriage? How much involvement should they have in your marriage? There are certain habits that need to stop when you get married. First of all, stop updating your parents, your siblings on everything that takes place in your home, about your husband, about your wife, if she washed the clothes, if today she cooked good food, if the other day you had a fight, you just had a small argument, and daddy, can you imagine? He did ABCD. You sound like a child. That means you're not independent. You're still stuck there. When you got married, you left the home. So leave. You don't have to tell them that today we don't have sugar, or yesterday power was disconnected and he didn't pay for the power. I mean, you're trying to say your husband is not a provider. He's not man enough. Those details are really, really unnecessary. I know that maybe you're a good son, you're a good daughter, and you have been updating your parents about everything that takes place in your life. But now when you get married, you should have these discussions with your spouse. How was your day? I don't like the fact that you've been coming late. Is it because of work? Help me understand this. I mean, you're doing life with that person, not with the entire family. Some people go as far as updating their family members on very, very teeny tiny issues. And it changes the way people look at your spouse. It changes the way people look at you. You are independent. You're two people with brains, and you can actually work this out. Now, there are men out there who are mommy's boys, and there are women out there who are daddy's girls. You're seeing your spouse, but you want him to be exactly like your husband. You're seeing your spouse, and you want him to be exactly like your dad. You're seeing your wife, but you want her to behave exactly like your mom. What's the point? This is not your mom. In fact, they are not related at all. There's no way she can be like her. So when you go off, telling your mom everything that your wife does, when you go off telling your dad everything that your husband does, you're sort of making a comparison, and you are painting a very bad picture. It is your responsibility as a wife for your family to see your husband in a certain way, as a respectable man, as a loving man, as a caring man. Yes, he is going to fall short. Yes, he is going to make mistakes. But be careful how you handle certain things that happen, because once you go around spilling every dirty linen that takes place in your marriage, you're damaging the reputation of your spouse, and some of these things cannot be repaired. You need to understand that it is your responsibility to guard your spouse against your family. Family loves, they care, but they need to have a limit. Who tells you that your dad needs to have a say on what your husband is supposed to be doing with his life? Who tells you that your mom needs to dictate on what meals that you make at home? Yes, they can advise you and tell you, I think it's better that you tone down on the fast foods and focus on health meals. That's okay. They can only advise you on how to dress, on how to eat, on the times to eat, on the time to come back home, on how to do certain things, but they cannot make the decision for you. Some of you have allowed your parents to keep pushing your wives, to keep pushing your husbands, to a point whereby every time they meet face to face, they feel uncomfortable. They just feel like they are little boys who married this man's wife, this man's daughter, and they just, every time they push a button, they have to respond. Don't put your partner in such a state. When your parents are saying, but why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he go for this course? It is your responsibility as his wife to say, you know what? my husband likes this, he wants to do this in life, and he is working on this. Let him be. Some of you go as far as allowing your parents to come and stay in your house. They call the shots, they make your wife uncomfortable, they despise how she cooks, they despise how she dresses. I mean, you have just got married. You're not perfect. No one has a PhD in marriage. Nobody has that. We are all trying to do life together. We are all trying to discover each other. Along the way, we are going to make mistakes, but you don't have to let your parents and entire family and clan know about every mistake that is happening in your family. This takes me to the next thing. Yes, you are going to make mistakes, but get someone who is more experienced, who may not even be family, maybe someone who has been married longer, someone who is older, someone who is mature, someone who can handle this information well, and let them know that, you know what, the way my husband treats me these days, I don't like it. He does A, B, C, D. And that person is able to guide you or get into safe spaces. Maybe a group of marrieds, there's certain safe spaces around you where you can meet and talk about these things. You may not necessarily share everything about you, but as people keep talking, you're relating and picking something, as opposed to you every evening you go to your dad and say, "Now, Daddy, yesterday I told him to hold me in the bed and he refused." I mean, why would you be telling that to your dad? Or you're telling your mom, can you imagine, she doesn't even know how to make tea. If she has weaknesses, why don't you talk about them? Find a solution. After all, you are the one she loves and you are the one he loves. What is key here is for the two of you to build a very good communication pattern, a safe space where I can tell you what you're doing that is bothering me, and you can tell me what I am doing that is bothering you. We learn how to communicate with each other effectively, freely, without being judged, and after receiving that information, we walk the journey together on how to become better, as opposed to you involving your sisters, involving your brothers. And you need to learn how to look at your spouse as your spouse, not as a by the way. Some of you, as much as you got married, you still look at your mother as the most important person in your life. Yes, she is very important, but your partner is more important than your mom. You still look at your dad as the man who has it all. Yes, he has it all, but now can you begin to look at your husband as the man who has it all? Because when you look at him that way and he makes a decision, you're going to respect that decision, and you're going to have the guts to stand up to your dad and say, you know what? Yes, I know that you're knowledgeable and you're experienced, but my husband has decided that we name our children this and that, and we are not going to have this discussion anymore. You are coming from a place whereby I trust him, I respect him, I know that he is capable of running this home. Well, that's what I had for you today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the bell notification for more uplifting content. See you in the next video.